Introductions. Great. Well, welcome everybody. It's really good to see you all. My name is Matthew Stevens. I'm a humanitarian worker. I've been doing it since about 2008, I guess. Since since the pandemic, I've pivoted to trainings, and in particular, exploring the potential of games-based learning to improve humanitarian response. So I'm joined today, we're all here together today with Terry from Untold Play, Ben from Lessons Learned, and also Jess from Lessons Learned to share with you a new game. Yeah, Terry, do you want to say a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, I won't say too much, but I've been in learning and development for 20 years, and increasingly over that time found myself more and more drawn to games-based learning and gamification of learning. And that was actually how I started the association with Lessons Learned and with Matt and Ben through some of the kind of self-development and learning along that road. So yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here today to share with you the game that we've created together, or a draft of it. It's definitely a play test. I think one of the key things Sarah has been talking about in the new issue of Ludogogi and in this week of playtesting and prototyping is that it is great to get people involved before you feel like things are the finished product. So we're really keen to show you what we've got, but also to get you playing it, get your reactions and responses, and get some feedback today.
That's great. Would you like me to? Oh yeah, sorry, we can keep going. Sorry about that. Ben, Jess, do you want to give a quick intro?
We can. Yeah, sure. My name is Ben Stevens, and I am a project assistant with Lessons Learned. So I work with Matt and Jess here, and through I met Terry again through this field. My background is in theater. And in theater education, but I have pivoted recently in the last couple of years into working with Matt on games-based learning and in the video game industry as well. So that's me. And, thanks for being here, everybody.
I'll go next. Good morning, everyone. I work with Matt at LST, and I am the head of research. I provide writing and editing support as well, of course. And I have a PhD in English literature and a background in post-secondary education. So I'm looking forward to learning along with you today.
Fantastic.
All right. And Terry, would you like me to give a bit of a background of the project here?
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Great. Fantastic. So yeah, as Terry said, the first thing I think we should say is that this is very much a playtest. This is the classic first contact with the outside world. So we've definitely played this game a lot between the 3 or 4 of us. We have never showed it to someone external to our small club. So I'm sure there'll be some fun bumps and wiggles along the way. Please do expect that. You know, if you can have a little notepad and jot down things that make sense or don't make sense, that would be fantastic, because we really are hoping that this experience will help us make the game better. The idea behind the game, basically, we're looking at a humanitarian response scenario where we've chosen 3 stakeholders, sort of the humanitarian world, the local government in whatever space that we're operating in, and then affected peoples or families, as we've called them. We're trying to look at how these different stakeholders, these different perspectives, how these different stakeholders bring different perspectives to a humanitarian crisis, right? So the examination that we're doing with this exercise is sort of looking at how needs are prioritized, how resources are distributed, and sort of how the system kind of shapes the way different stakeholders think about what's going on. You know, we're in a context where, in theory, we're all working together, but as we'll see, a few wrinkles along the way may change our point of view. It's modeled around a refugee response crisis, but we've tried to make it abstract enough that it can apply to many different contexts. So, we'll have to see if that makes perfect sense, but that was the idea behind it. I think that's enough for just a quick intro, because I'd like to get us into the game as fast as possible. But that gives you the setting, right? We'll have three lead players, and you know, we can set up teams or something like that to make sure that everyone has a chance to contribute. But you know, we'll be taking on the roles of people affected by a crisis, by local government, and then also humanitarians. So.
And Ben, were you going to say just a couple of words about things for people to keep in mind, in particular when they're playtesting?
Yeah, so we're really hoping, if you'll be so kind, to focus on the options in front of you and the decisions that you're making while you play through the game. So we're trying to find moments where you feel overwhelmed or confused by the number of options in front of you, or the moments where it's the opposite, where you feel forced into a decision, where there's no other option, or the decision is too obvious. We want to know, are there moments where decisions feel arbitrary, like you don't have enough information? Are there moments where the decision is really exciting and very interesting for you, where you're weighing two different options or three different options, and you can't quite make that decision, or you're excited to make that decision? And we want to know if what other people are doing at the table, at our virtual table, is impacting your decisions in the game. So if you can think about the decisions that you're making, kind of keep that in mind. You know, Matt mentioned jotting down some notes as we go along. Those are the decisions and the options in front of you. That's the thing that we're most excited about hearing about today. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Terry.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how the setup will be, and then I'll get you looking at the game, talking about how it works, and then playing it as quickly as possible.
Terry, shall we share the screen here?
Yeah, I was going to put people in teams first, and then.
Sorry.
Yeah. So just in terms of this this kind of setup with Zoom and with us doing it on Tabletopia, it's going to work best if we have three teams. But whereas if we're doing this face to face, it would be a little bit easier for people to chat in their teams and, you know, make decisions and so on. It's a little bit harder in this online setting, but that's fine. What we're going to do is have one person who is the team spokesperson. So when we're coming to that team for a decision, when we're saying, okay, you need to make your move, you need to do something, that person is going to be the person to make the move. But we're also going to give you a little chat room among your team where you can chat in a separate browser window if you want to chat, you know, in this room full of people, and also if you want to chat privately where the other teams can't see. But what that means is we need three people who are happy to be the team spokesperson, effectively the lead player from each team who is actually going to be moving pieces, is going to have access to Tabletopia, and so on. That doesn't mean that anyone else is not going to be a part of the game. They absolutely are, and you can, you know, berate your lead player if they do something bad or something that you didn't think was a good move or whatever. But just to keep things flowing, we're going to get a lead person from each team. Could I get three volunteers of people who'd be happy to do that?
I think we've got the ideal number of people, haven't we? And
yeah, we'll have two people on each team.
6 people. Oh, somebody's now left.
Brian.
the pressure added up there.
So Brian, that's one volunteer. Fantastic.
To be a spokesperson, right? I can be the third.
Are you happy
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
Cool. Brilliant.
Great, Lachman.
Can I get one more? Mine just being the lead player. Who else? We've got Antonis there. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so I've got Antonis, Brian, and Laxman. So I'll just pop other people onto their team. So I'll just type this into the chat window so that you can see it and you know whose team you're on. So we've got Babin, we've got Mihaela. I spelled it wrong. Is that all now? We've only got 5 now. Oh no, we've got Roberta.
No, I've got Roberta.
Fantastic. Okay. Excellent. Okay, good. So I'm sharing that now in the chat. Those are your teams with the lead player first. So you also got a nomination there. So Antonis and Babin, you're the humanitarian team. We used to call it the UN team, but it could be any kind of humanitarian NGO. The local government team, Brian and Mihaela, so you are representing government on the ground in the area, in the country. And Laxman and Roberta, the family team, the people affected by the crisis. So if I just give you your chat links, So, oh, I have to trust you not to follow the chat link for the other group if you could. So just please only follow the chat link for your group. But that's it. If you can just follow that link now, you will be able to chat to your other team member without anyone else hearing or overseeing you or whatever, apart from us facilitators.
Roberta mentioned earlier that she's at work in a museum gallery, so she might not be too able to natter for
Yeah, and
a
if she
little
can't,
while.
I'm sure Laxman will step up to the plate and make decisions for the team.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Finally, I'm just going to.
I'm here. I just, if somebody comes in, I might need to be quiet or something.
No worries. I'm just going to send directly to the lead player the link to Tabletopia. You don't have to follow this just yet because I'm going to spend a moment just giving people a tour of, giving everyone a tour on a shared screen. But I just wanted to do this, and the reason I'm sharing it to people directly rather than in the chat is if anybody but the lead player follows this link, then it kind of breaks Tabletopia. So let's make sure that it's just those people. So it's Anthony Laxman and Brian, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So Anthony Laxman and Brian, you should have just received a link from me each. Don't worry too much about it now, as long as you've got it, then we'll use it shortly. Okay. Everyone good? Anyone, did I promise anyone anything they didn't get? Fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen here, and we're going to briefly run you through the board and the rules, if we can even get it on the screen. However, we're going to try not to make it too rules heavy up front. The first turn of the game itself is a little bit of a kind of playthrough. Some of your options are limited, and it's a bit of a learning kind of first go as well. So you've got the three groups. You have the family group, the local government group, and the humanitarian group. You each have an interest in addressing this local crisis, and the main way that the crisis itself is represented is via the capacity pyramid in the center of the board here. So in this capacity pyramid, you have the ability to fulfill with your own capacity, your own work as a team, the basic needs of the affected population, which is these bottom couple of layers, the safety, security, and protection needs of those people, and the social emotional needs of those people. So that's what those three slightly different colours, colored pairs of rows are all about. So every time a token gets put here, one step has been made towards fulfilling the affected people's basic needs. One is here towards their safety, security, and protection needs, and one here towards their social and emotional needs. Stop me at any point if any of this is not making sense, or feel free to drop a thought or a question in the chat. There's a couple of other things that are happening throughout the game. You also have urgency, which we're not going to explain too much now, but if things get more urgent, you will get bad things happening. If things get less urgent, you'll get good things happening. The main mechanic of the game is that you have a number of dice to roll. So each turn, there are 3 things that happen. You roll the dice, you draft the dice, and you spend the dice. Roll, draft, and spend. And this happens all together. It's not 3 separate turns, one and the other and the other. We all roll, and then we all take part in the drafting, and then we all take part in the spending. So if I right click on this now, I can roll all of these dice. Oh, sorry, some of them are all piled up actually. Let me just get rid of that.
Don't you just love the physics in Tabletopia?
Yeah.
That's quite a trick, hey? That's an impressive feat.
Great when it's great.
I'll roll 15 dice and keep them stacked.
Yeah. So you roll the dice, and you get a number of available faces. These are the faces that you're going to be able to draft. And you do have a key here in the middle for what those faces are. So you have 4 possible faces. Political, which are preferred by the local government team. So that's your lovely face if you're on that team. Social, blue face, that's your preferred one if you're on the family team. And economic, that's your preferred one, the green one, if you're on the humanitarian team. And there's a purple face, which is for cooperation and negotiation. You also will sometimes see, and we don't see any there right now, just to make me illustrate the point difficult. You'll sometimes see a blank face. So when the blank face comes up, it can make two things happen. Firstly, it can increase the urgency. So if 2 blank faces are rolled, the urgency increases by 1. If 3 or more are rolled, then the urgency increases by 2. But also, if you draft a blank dice, then you get to re-roll it, and it could come up with anything. So a turn might look like this. Whoever is drafting first would choose a dice. And in fact, it's the humanitarians that go first. The humanitarians might draft one of the rolled dice. So they might draft this dice. And then we go down this list. So the local government might draft this dice, and the family might draft this dice. And then we keep going until all the dice are drafted. So I won't go through all of that for you. You can see how that's going to progress. So you keep going through that until all dice are drafted. When that's happened, and in fact, I just remembered that we need to get rid of one of these dice.
Oh yeah, I can pull that out.
Yeah, pull out. So at the start of the game, there are 14 dice there. So the last person to pick, the family, will only get 4 dice in the first few turns. Everyone else will get 5. And then, so that's the rolling and drafting. Once you've drafted dice, then you have these dice here to spend. So let's say that we had these 5 dice here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can spend those on your capacity board. So this is your area. Actually, let me just go over here because I just noticed a problem with them. That's the family's area. So the family has the capacity board, the pressure board, and the innovation board. The capacity board is what you spend with. So effectively, you can spend anything shown here. So you can spend 1 of the blue face, which is what we call the social face, and that will get you 1 token. Or you can spend 2 of the green financial face, or 2 of the red political face, or 2 of the purple cooperation face. Any of those will get you 1 token. Or you can spend this combination of 3 faces to get you 1 token. So these tokens you can then spend in the center of the board. And this is how you spend the capacity to fulfill the basic needs or the other levels of needs for the affected population. So for instance, with this grouping here, I might decide to spend 2 there, 1 there, and these 2 then I don't really have a way to spend. So they're wasted because they don't have a way to spend them at the moment. Although you will find that there are other things you can spend them on later in the game. That's.
Could I just ask why can't you put? Oh, I see. You have to complete something.
Yeah.
All right.
You have to
Okay.
complete a row.
Sorry, I didn't realise the one at the top only had 1 space for some reason. Yeah. Okay.
So this would have earned you 2 tokens, which you take from the bag, and that's your spend for that round. You put them all there, and when everybody's done that, we spend in reverse order there. So the family would spend first. So the family might spend their bait there, and perhaps in theory there, and that's their built-in 2 points of capacity, 1 on the basic needs level and 1 on the safety, security, and protection needs level. However, in order to put them on this level, you need to have the same number plus 1 on the level below. So you can only place the first token here when there are actually 2 here already. And you can place 2 tokens here when there are 3 here, 3 when there are 4, and so on. And same is true between these levels. So if there are 2 tokens here, then you can place 1 on this level. Does that make sense in terms of capacity and placement? Yeah. But Anthony, you're not sure, you can say?
Yeah, I think if you can just do a quick run of what we should do, like titles only, in a row in our turn, I think it will be clear for me. So the round starts. What do I do?
Yeah. Okay. Tell you what. Let's run a turn. and I think that's going to be the best way to do it, to be honest. Okay, so we're going to run this. We're going to run this first turn. The only thing you'll be able to do on this first turn is to increase capacity on the pyramid, and then we'll show you on the second and subsequent turns other things you can do. So if we take those dice back. So first thing is to roll the dice. And the second thing is to draft the dice in this order. So the humanitarians need to draft one dice, first of all. This is going to be slightly complicated by the fact that the humanitarian board, I've just realized, is in the wrong place, and that local government board is in the wrong place.
Yeah. Oh no, and they fix those things, don't they? How can we?
I think you cannot, if you've already started it, you cannot.
Yeah, I think we're just going to ask people to look at the board in the place that rather than the place that it should be. Okay, so humanitarians, your draft is first. This is what you're going to be able to spend. Money face is going to get you 1 token. Otherwise, you need a set of 2 of any of the other faces, or a set of each of the 3 other faces. That's what you need. Yeah, in order to get tokens. So with that in mind, you can choose a dice from this, and you can drag it over to the humanitarians there. Does that make sense? And it's Antonis, right? Yeah.
Is my name, yeah.
No, I was just checking who was the humanitarian team.
Yes.
Remember, you can also choose a blank face, and in which case you would re-roll it.
Speak up, team members, if you want to input into your lead player's decision.
If you roll a blank one, are you then obliged to choose what's turned up?
Yes, yeah.
It's re-rolled.
You
Right?
draft the blank dice, you've drafted it, and then you roll it. So you're rolling it for yourself, not for the pool.
Well, it's kind of a chance to get something random. You don't know exactly what it is, but.
Yeah.
So is that after the penalty for the whole board is taken? So you were saying that the blank dice cause.
I'm going to leave that one out of this first round. I'm going to come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the barbarians in castle dice.
Yeah, that's quite normal for humanitarians, because that's going to get you a quicker spend on that. So next up comes the local government, who, again, you can be moving around the map yourself if you are the lead player there, but that's your board, which looks exactly the same, except for political is your cheap way of getting these, and it's the other symbols that are more expensive for you. So that's Brian. So Brian, you can drag a dice from the pool to your draft there of any face.
Sorry, I'm trying to launch, and I just lost sound for a moment as you were saying it's Brian.
Okay, no problem. We're just saying that Brian is the local government lead player. You have a very similar capacity board. The main difference is that the red symbol is the cheapest way for you to get tokens. All of the others cost you 2 faces or 3 different faces to get a token, whereas the red face, political face, gives you 1 token per face. So with that in mind, you can draft any of these dice and just drag it over, or I can drag it over if that's easier, to a space where it says drafted by local government.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah, so just drag it over to this bit where it says drafted by. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, drafted by
I tried
family
to-
then. So
I tried to
family, sorry. Family, yours in the same situation, but blue is your primary and easiest, cheapest. So family is Laxman.
I'm representing the family, but I'm still not able to enter the board. It says I'm a spectator, and I click
Oh.
on join. It does not allow me in.
Okay.
I can see the join button. I clicked multiple times.
Well, here,
It is
I'll let me pop out if that's a. It might be that that's strange, but
Yeah, showing 5 players and it's got a maximum of 6. So
let's see. Can you get in now?
I guess I clicked it. It says leave, but then I'm not able to get on the board. I'm
If you
inside,
go-
but how do? Yeah.
Try Laxman, go back to the lobby.
Okay.
And then there should be now at least a vacant seat. So if you click take seat, that might actually.
No, I can see the seed. Do I need to click continue further?
I don't. Yeah, and then you click continue,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then it should take you through.
Okay, it's taking me through. It's loading for me.
There we go. We're seeing you.
are you in, Laxman?
It's almost 90% there.
Cool. Yeah.
You've got to love Tabletopia.
Yeah.
But,
We're really
I mean,
looking forward to the day we get to
once-
do this in person.
Yeah. What I find with Tabletopia is it does this to start off with, and then it all starts going swimmingly.
Mhm,
Remember when we
yeah.
were playing Everdell, Terry?
Mm.
It took us quite a while to be able to pick things up properly, but
I find that Tabletopia works a little bit better on Firefox than on Chrome for some reason.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. So now I have it open on Chrome. It works, but I've had issues before.
Ben taught me too. If you have Steam, there's actually a Steam version that I'm not using right now, but it's the best. But
It runs a little bit
actually,
smoother.
I have it on Steam. Maybe I should use that instead.
And do you want to, just to save us from waiting too long, do you want to just look at the screen for the moment while it's waiting in the background? And if you tell me which one, I can just drag it across. So it's based on this idea that your cheapest way is to get blue ones, but by getting a set of 3 of any other color or 2 the same of any other color, that will also get you a token.
Okay, sure.
I think that's probably the best way to keep it rolling. If anybody has any difficulty, just make Terry do your donkey
Yeah,
work for
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, please use your marionette.
Yeah.
Terry, would you mind moving the 2 reds?
Oh, we can only take one at a time.
Sorry?
Time, Max.
Good try trying to get 2 though.
I could not get Terry what you mentioned. I should go 1 at a time?
It's only 1 dice at a time that you're drafting. So you're building towards a set,
Okay.
but you only take 1 dice at a time.
Okay. Then I'll go for the red one.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Humanitarians? I'm sure once you get the hang of this, this will flow more smoothly.
I mean, we've already played for the first. We're on the second round now,
Yeah, so we'll keep drafting until all the dice are drafted.
right? I guess we go for blue now.
But if you go for the green one, you can get another token for
Yeah,
that.
you can use that multiple times. So a green one will get you another single token.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Your board here, yeah. That's what you're building towards.
I am
But
facing some
I'm a bit confused about what exactly do I do with the tokens once I get them.
So once we've got the tokens, then they're going to be used to build capacity on the pyramid, which is one of the chief ways of gaining points and trying to solve the humanitarian crisis.
So I think your strategy for this part should be to work out what's your best possible combination of dice to get the maximum amount of tokens. Is that right, Terran?
Absolutely.
Is that a pretty good heuristic of playing?
For this round, absolutely. There are
Yeah.
other options on future rounds.
Yeah.
All right, then for this round, for this round, I guess for the first
Great.
2 or 3 rounds, our aim would be to maximize the financial capacity.
For you, yeah, economic gets you 1 per 1, so it's a nice deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but they're all gone now.
But yeah, because I used the second one.
Yeah, that's good. So local government, choose and drag a dice. Fantastic, thank you. Just clear that up there. And Laxman, are you in yet? No? Do you want me to drag one for you?
You're on mute, Laxman.
Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I was facing some firewall issues, so I'm just trying to fix it up.
Sure.
I'll request Terry to draw one more for me, draft one more from you. I'll request you to draft, yeah.
Yep, so which color? This is what you're going to be spending, so it's going to cost you 1 of a blue one or 2.
Yeah, if I get the blue one, better.
Yep, perfect. Yeah. So blue one, there we go. Oh, humanitarians.
Um,
So remember, if you draft a blank dice, you get a random chance to see what you get. Otherwise, you could choose any of these.
oh, let's do that. And so how do I just?
So pop it there, and then you may as well just hit R to roll it. Or if it's selected, is it selected? Select it again and hit, yeah, perfect. So that's the purple dice. Fantastic.
Interesting.
Local government.
We'll take red again.
It was a good roll for you, Brian.
It was.
Perfect. Yeah, it really was. And Laxman, what would you like me to take for you?
Sorry, can you go back to my listing? Can I have
Yes,
a look at it?
absolutely.
Okay, I'll go for one purple.
Purple, no worries. So in there. Humanitarians.
Well, there's not that much left, but I guess we can. Well, here. Let's try this.
Yeah, you can roll it and then take it if you like.
Yeah.
Great. Oh,
Well,
nice.
got lucky.
Local government, Brian. Again, if you're not one of the key players, by all means be in the chat telling your team what they're doing right or wrong. Or saying it out loud if you like, but obviously that'll get quite noisy if we're all talking at the same time. Fantastic, thank you. Laxman, would you like a blue or a reroll?
I'm sorry? Blue should be good enough, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's your last one because you only get 4 Laxman as the family. So one more for, first of all, humanitarians and tennis. There's your 2 options, a blue, social, or a reroll.
Let's see. Oh, wait,
no, you can't
that's
do
wrong.
that.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry.
I've entered and I'm just trying to figure out the navigation to zoom in.
No problem.
Let's try a reroll.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, good one.
Excellent.
Okay.
So that leaves you, Brian, with that final one. Fantastic. So you should now, and I'm just going to do Laxman's just to show you, if you drag them across, and the quick way to do this on Tabletopia is to shift click a box like that, and then you can drag all 4 over to your thing, and then you can spend them. So the best way to spend these 4 tokens, there's 2 ways to get 2 tokens. I can see you can do 1 of each here. That would get you a token. And then 1 up here, that would get you a token. So you get 2 tokens. There's another way to do the same thing, which would be to spend 2 blue and waste these other 2. But either way, you're going to get 2 tokens. So that's how Laxman could spend his for his team. I've just done that there just as an example. I hope that's okay, Laxman. So if the other 2 teams could do the same thing, so you can do a little shift click to drag your dice over. Please make sure you don't change any of their faces or re-roll them. and then you can just place them in arrangements on your board, just to show, again, a complete set will get you, a complete set of 1, 2, or 3 here will get you a token. Any incomplete sets or leftover dice won't get you anything at all.
Wait, I moved into the wrong one.
Yeah, I think we carried the wrong one over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All those greens are there.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. There you go. And you can definitely stack them on top of each other. So there's 3. The obvious thing to do there, I'll just do it to show you the stacking. Firstly, is to put these here, which is 3 tokens. So you can stack like that. If you prefer to do something different there, Brian, by all means rearrange them.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And the other 2 are going to be wasted.
I think so, yeah. Again, there'd be
Is there a way that I can shift my view to look down more from overhead?
Yeah, if you click your left and right mouse buttons together,
yeah,
and then drag downwards.
Okay, great.
Yeah, 4 there for and a wasted one. Great. So if you want to take out the tokens that you've earned from your little bag, you can just drag one at a time out from your bag, like I did with Laxman's 2 tokens there, and have them ready. Just have them to the side of the bag, perhaps, or by your play area, and then in reverse order. So we did go humanitarians, government, family. Now we're going to go family, government, humanitarians. We just place 1 token at a time on the pyramid. So Laxman, you would go first. Again, if you're not in, I can do the placing for you. Normally, you would get a choice as to which level of the pyramid you want to put it on. However, at the moment, in order to place it on a higher level, you need to have more tokens on the level below. So in order to place the first one there, you need to have 2 on the level below. In order to place the second, you need to have 3 on the level below, and so on. So what that means in practice is that your first token, in fact, has to go on basic needs there. Does that make sense, Laxman? Laxman, does that make sense? Yeah, but you will get a choice for the second token. So local government, you get a choice. No, you don't get a choice. You've got to put it on basic needs because, again, there isn't 2 to support the one above. Yeah. However, now humanitarians, you get a choice. You can put it on the bottom row, or you could put it on this safety, security, and protection needs row. To be honest, until we've explained the scoring for you, it won't mean too much, but make a choice for the moment.
Okay.
Wait, so what is the aim?
Yeah, I didn't realize this was going to come in there. So if you take a look at your chat, which you shared with you.
Yes.
Then it tells you what you will score in order to win the game, what you need to score in order to win the game. So it's different for each of you, and it's secret information, so don't read it out. But eventually it will tell you how many points you get per token in basic needs.
We're seeing that, Terry.
Oh, sorry.
That secret information is on display to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, very quick reader there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah, okay. Anyway, you get the point. He tells you how many points per basic needs, per safety, security, or per social and emotional. The lower ones may not make sense beyond those first 3 rows. Don't worry, we're going to explain those other game concepts.
So basically, there are the mechanic is that there are hidden goals based on what ends up in the shared capacity pyramid.
Yes. Yes.
So you're trying to maneuver the capacity pyramid to be the way you want it to be, I guess, in terms of a win state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, hold on, it's a bit, it is a bit complicated. Let's see.
If you just look at those first 3 scoring rows, that's the main thing for the moment, because we're not introduced any of the other concepts just yet.
Right. So the aim now is to achieve the highest score, right?
Yeah, for the moment.
That's when it says X points per token of specific type. Does that mean where it's placed or what color it is?
Yeah, for those first 3 rows, it's just where it's placed. Yeah, that's what they.
So right now we basically have 2 tokens on basic needs, irrespective of the current color.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then based on what I read, if I read correctly, it would be in our favor to put everything on the bottom.
Well, you've just revealed one of your secret scoring things there, but yes.
Which I should not do. But wait, what is going on now? We're supposed to be.
So
are we supposed to be putting the tokens directly or discussing about them or what?
Well, you can discuss in the private chat, but for the purposes of moving this on time-wise to the playtest, and because it's only the first round, I would say just make a decision.
Okay. So the humanitarians, I'm not alone, am I? Who else is a humanitarian? I forgot already.
So you are.
I am. Yeah.
Feel free to input in that chat channel, baby.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, for the just testing the game, you can take your own decisions. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, just to not slow
to
things
make
down
it
too
quick.
much. Maybe just check the channel occasionally to see if somebody's saying no, do this or whatever. But when you're under the gun and having to make a decision, you do have a little bit of downtime. So in between times when you're actually making a decision, you could definitely be using the chat channel to discuss what to do next. Did you want to drag a token onto the pyramid, Antis?
Yes.
Either in basic needs or safety security.
I think we might know where he's going to put it.
Yeah. If you're paying attention.
Yeah. Or because somebody left that pesky
right?
memo on the train.
Laxman, you're still not in as a user, is that right? Oh, can't see you or hear you.
Oh no, hang on, he's putting all his tokens in now.
Yeah, no, hang on. It's kind of supposed to be
one at a time.
It's kind of supposed to be one at a time going around.
One token per round.
One at a time going round. So we've had 1 token from each team.
Oh, now I understood the dynamic. Okay.
The same as the drafting, right? That it just
right. Yeah.
Color gone.
Laxman, can't hear you. Oh, yeah, I can see you now. Don't think he's still in. Where would you like me to place this? You can go here or here. You're on mute at the moment.
How do I grab the coin? I'm trying to grab it, but it's not happening for me.
You're not, as far as I can see, logged in as a user.
It's very strange. I can see you as a user on my side, but I'm seeing on Terry's screen share that you're not coming up, which is very odd. I don't know what exactly is causing that.
I think at the moment it's probably just easier if you use Terry as your hands.
Yeah, just tell me what to do. You have 3 tokens here, so you can place it on safety and security, or you can place it on basic needs. And the decision should probably be based on what would score most for you on your, as shared on your chat.
Okay, maybe I can. Now can I place it on the safety security part? Yeah.
Great. Brian?
Okay. Security.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So that means, Anthony, you've got no choice. Oh, no, you can place it on social, emotional, or on basic. Those are both legal moves. You couldn't place it in the middle because that would make then 3 on top of 3 instead of 3 on top of 2, 3 on top of 4. So Antonis, do you want to, should I just place that for you? as
Yep.
your choice.
Yeah, man.
And local government, you get to choose now. You get a free choice, the first free choice. You can place it on any level you like because there are enough to support a new one on level 2 or level 3. Brian, are you there? Are you okay? Oh. Okay, just having a think, Brian. Do you need to check anything with me?
No, I'm ready to go. I thought it wasn't my turn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, so the family has only got 2 tokens, so you've run out of tokens. So it's just you and Antonis now taking turns until someone else runs out of tokens. So perfect, thank you. Antonis, you can choose between the bottom or top layers. Can't currently place on the middle layer because there's not an extra token on the layer below to support.
Okay. So they wait a minute. Yeah, okay, then wait, I can put one more in the here, right?
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
no?
absolutely. No, you can place as many as you need to in the bottom layer.
Okay,
In higher layers, there needs to be more.
Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, okay.
Layer below after you place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you still got one, Brian?
No, I'm out.
Yep. Okay, so your last one, Antonis. So now you can place it on any layer you like. Still going there. Cool.
Easy.
Excellent. So that is a turn. So you've done your roll, draft, and spend. The idea is that they should flow a little smoother than that once you know what you're doing, but that's just us helping you to work out what you're doing. And that's the core element of the game, is placing things on the pyramid. So we're going to repeat that next turn. However, next turn you will have a couple more options, as well as spending on your capacity for tokens for the pyramid. You can also spend on the coordination forum. So if 3, and on the central coordination forum, if anybody can place faces, so you could do it as a shared thing. So if 3 dice are placed there of purple by anyone, it could be 3 from the same person, could be 1 from each of you, could be 2 and 1, then you will unlock the rest of what's under this card, which are other actions which can be done coordinated and shared. At the moment you can't see what they are or do them, but once you've unlocked those 3, then on following turns you'll be able to do extra things. Oh, please don't move that just yet. You can't see them yet. The other thing that we can introduce for the second turn is that pressure can happen throughout the game. So pressure is whether or not you've got the support of people important to you. So for the family, it's from your neighbors. From humanitarian, for the humanitarians, it's from your donors. And for the local government, it's from the local elite. So your pressure track here shows that at the moment, nothing's happening really there. You've got a reasonable amount of support. There's no pressure on you. But pressure will increase by +1 when you draft 3 of your favorite dice. So political for the local government, but economic, green for the humanitarians, or blue, social for the family. And +1 for each beyond that. So if this will have been in place on the first turn, then actually, Brian, you would have gotten a bit of pressure for the number of red faces you rolled, because that's your favorite face. If that makes sense. It can also change based on the urgency level, but the urgency level hasn't changed yet, so we're not going to worry about that. Pressure can decrease by -1 for each PR action you complete. So here's a new action that's available to you, as well as the ones on your card. By spending 1 of your favored face or 2 of any other face, any combination, you can put your pressure down by 1. So pressure is there. It can have really bad effects, as you can see here. So if it comes up here, then you've got to spend dice just to appease the people who are putting pressure on you. It can have good effects. If your pressure is low, you can gain extra dice. If it's in the middle, it has no effect. And it increases when you draft your favorite dice, basically because the people around you are thinking, wow, you're doing lots of good things. You're having lots of funds or having lots of political help. So therefore, we expect more of you and we're putting more pressure on you. Or you can buy decreases with this, this dice face here. Does that make sense about pressure? Please let me know if you've got a question there. Cool. So the pressure is being introduced and the potential to coordinate is being introduced. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So we'll try a second turn if that's okay. Matt, Ben, I realize that I'm doing all the talking here. I'm trying to kind of keep things simple, but by all means, if you think there's something else worth saying, then definitely say it.
No,
I was going to ask Terry, do you want to introduce the different costs of tokens per layer, or is that something that we're
different cost of tokens per layer?
So, for example, the humanitarian board, we had been having it that it's 1 to put on the bottom, but 2 to put on the next 2, and
oh,
you remember that?
I'd completely forgotten.
I was like, oh, this is a clever introduction of the rules. Strategy.
I'm going to claim that. Yeah. Good point. Yes. Okay. So at the moment we've been putting 1 token directly on the pyramid. For now, subsequent turns, it's going to cost you 1. Well, your card says what, but it will cost you 1 basically for 1 of them, and 2 tokens need to be placed together to activate a square of the other 2 levels. So there's that one there. You know, the humanitarians, it tells you here which one is going to cost you 1 and which one's going to cost you 2. So effectively, there's 2 levels that are more expensive for you. They actually take 2 tokens to activate a square rather than a single token. Okay. Cool. Have we got the dice there? All of them? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should just introduce those things and then introduce the free power on the next turn, possibly. Yeah. Does that sound okay, Matt? Ben?
Yeah. Sorry, Terry. You're doing a great job. I'm keeping my mouth shut because the more of us shouting over each other, it doesn't increase the clarity if more of us are excitedly shouting. So no, don't fret.
Okay, I'm going to roll the dice, and then it's going to be drafting a dice again. So if you want to look, and Laxman, if you want me to look at your costs, just let me know. But the other 2 players can look at their costs. But when it's your turn, just grab a dice and drag it to your drafting place. Starting with the humanitarians.
So again, let me check if there are any new messages in the chat, just in case. Yeah. Let me move again. So now, here again. That's what we got.
Perfect. Thank you. Excellent. Good stuff. Well, nice and quick. Ryan Laxman, do you know what you want to draft? You're on mute at the moment.
Sorry, can you draft the red one?
Red one. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. And humanitarians?
Oh, again.
Yeah, maybe we can take the purple one, no? Because I want to see what is beneath the cards. I'm curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curiosity, what a wonderful driver of learning.
You will need to have a 3rd one other than the 2 that are, somebody will need to contribute a 3rd one rather than just the 2 that are exposed, but there are 4 rerolls coming soon.
Yeah, blank dice.
So for the purple one.
Perfect. Sounds like there's some cooperation coming into play.
The cooperative lot.
Antonis, when you're ready.
Sorry, I didn't realize. Then should we get another green one? What do you think?
Maybe roll a dice, so maybe purple can appear, so we can open this paper.
Roll that again.
I'm so eager to open that. I'm curious.
Well, I think it's a sign.
You have to.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So this is Brian. Are you going to re-roll that one? Yeah, excellent. Cool. So
nice.
you've now re-rolled rolled 3 of your favorite color, which means that your pressure is going to increase. So actually it's the one down here because everything's in the wrong place. Sorry about that. Local government should really be red, this one. Gets slightly more pressure because now you've had a lot of political help from the local elite, so they're expecting more. If you roll a 4th face, that will happen again. At the moment, still no effect, but if another one happens, then you will get a penalty. Okay, that was local government. Family, Laxman.
Oh, sorry, can you roll the dice?
Reroll, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, green one. Baben's dream is going to be frustrated.
No, there's still one left.
Still one left.
Although Brian probably won't roll it because it's a bit risky.
So it's Antonis and Baben.
How about we roll another yellow? Well, the colors of the dice don't make a difference, do they?
There is a difference that they make, but it's not, I wouldn't worry about it now. I'm not going to complicate things with it now.
How about we roll the yellow one, Baben? This one.
Yeah, we can try. Why not? Not much to lose,
Purple
I
one,
guess.
purple one, no.
No.
Oh, well.
I presume that all the stuff that's been spent persists, does it, Terry, from round to round?
When you say the stuff that's been spent, what do you mean, sorry?
So if you don't have to spend 3 purple all in one round to open up the ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you can't leave 2 on there and then next round.
No, unfortunately not, because the dice all get collected back to be re-rolled.
I see. Yeah, of
Laxman?
course they do. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for the green one.
Green one. Okay.
Yeah.
One last one from Humanitarians, and then one last one from local government.
Yeah, I mean, there are not that many.
Yeah, and local government there. Perfect. So now you can drag your stuff over, and remember that now you have more options, as well as spending them on just purely on capacity tokens. You can also use them to reduce your PR by spending 1 of your favorite color or 2 of any other. Or if we had 3, you could put them on here. Unfortunately, we don't, so there's little point. So let's take those and move them over this way. Laxman, for your spend, and again, this is, I'm saying Laxman, but by all means, Roberta, if you're there, chip in on this. So you can spend them between these or on your personal relations PR option, which would be 2 of any to reduce your PR.
Okay, we can play the 2 greens on the capacity board.
Oh, yeah, you mean? Oh, yeah. Are you in? Is that you?
That's me, but then I'm constantly in and out. So.
Oh, okay.
My token has turned into a funny thing that doesn't seem to respond.
Okay.
Oh, now it's gone back. Okay.
Well, you back?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Great, good. So they're being spent. You could spend 2 of those on a PR. Yeah, absolutely, Laxman. Fantastic. So, yeah, that's fine. Have you spent all of yours, Antonis?
Well, we'll go from the bottom up. So. So for the bottom up, we need another. I cannot see clearly here. We'll put another green here. So for that,
let's say blue. So
that
green.
is a blue indeed. Wait, where's the green? There is no green. We have no green. Yeah, the blue ones here. That's on the second row. Okay, so one there.
Oh, that got changed then.
Shame.
It's gonna take me hours to get back now.
It was blue.
Yeah, it was blue. Let's just remember it was blue because I don't seem to be able to get it back onto blue.
There it is.
Yeah.
Block it.
Can I just check on timing because I thought this was scheduled for an hour, but
Oh, sorry, no, it's scheduled for 90 minutes. So we are going to have to definitely cut it short before we finish the game. Do you have to go, Brian?
I can probably stay a bit longer. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to cut short the game in a second, I think. It depends what my co-hosts think. But
That's a good idea, yeah.
and you just want to spend those. So you need to spend 2 blues to get a token. You can spend 3 of any color to get a token on the bottom row there. Or on your pressure chart, you can spend a money or 2 of any token for personal relations.
I've just been taking tokens out of my bag and it seems to have a limitless supply, which I'm sure is not what's in
It does have a limited supply. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can take as many as you like. No, not a limitless supply. It's got.
It's called not cheating, Brian.
Should we? Do you think we've got enough time to finish this round of drafting and stuff, or should we just say a few words about where the rest of the game would go and then get people's feedback?
I think you were planning on having 20 minutes, weren't you, for feedback? So I think you've got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, we could spend those last 5 minutes if you want to try and fill the board, or I think it's also up to participants, I think, too, you know, maybe how people feel.
It would be nice to get the board into a position where you can do scoring and say how people have done, if you can do that.
Sure. Although I think that we might not, I mean, we can talk through the scoring. I don't think that we necessarily need to count the points.
Anthony, do you just want to put some dice onto your things and then we can quickly do this round and go on to those next bits?
Again, it's wrong. Wait.
Yeah, you could do that, one of each on the bottom.
Ah, wait. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, which means you'll have 2 tokens. And Brian, you had, was it 1, 2? I only spent 2 for pressure, so you can reduce your pressure by 2, Brian. And Laxman, you can reduce your pressure by 1 because of that spending. So I'll just do those for you there. So you've both reduced your pressure. So you, Brian, you're almost on the edge of getting some bonuses from actually being, you know, in with the local elite. But in terms of tokens, it would be, again, family to spend tokens first. You've got 1 token, Laxman, this turn. Where do you want to put it?
Yeah.
The top
Can I
one?
put it on the social needs? Is it allowed?
Yeah, absolutely, because there's 3 that will support 2 on the next level. Then it's just going to be taking turns between, first of all, Brian and then Antis.
So if I have 2 tokens to spend, I don't quite understand how getting onto the second level needs 2 tokens. Does that put them in the same?
Sorry, so getting the second level is only allowed for token placement if there's more tokens on the level below than would be left after your token placement. So at the moment there's 6 and 3. So yes, you can put on that level, absolutely. And in fact, again, you could if you wanted to next time it comes up. But then you couldn't put a 6. You can't make them equal. The level above always has to be lower.
That I got, but I thought you were saying that there was a different cost to putting them on.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has to put 2 tokens on there, doesn't he? I think it's because the social or whatever it is safety, you just think about that as being a more expensive project or more expensive initiative than the basic needs.
It's different for each player actually, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So that's
for your purposes, Brian, it's a more expensive initiative than just making sure people have got a roof over their head or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Antonis, you've got a couple to place, have you?
Well, I can still put one here.
Yeah, that's going to cost you 2 to do it.
Ah, now I understand how this works. Okay. Well, I have to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it now.
Okay. So, in the interest of time, shall we then very quickly talk about what else would have happened had we had more time, and then do some feedback? Does that sound good, Matt and Ben?
Yeah, that sounds
wonderful.
wonderful.
I think that's fantastic. Do you want to keep going, Terry, or should we give you a break?
Go on, you go for it, Matt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we want to probably give you guys as much of a chance to speak as possible, but just really quickly, I don't think it makes sense to go over the scoring yet because we haven't balanced that. But essentially, the scoring was I mean, it's semi-secret, right? But the idea is that different teams are rewarded differently for different levels of the pyramid, if that makes sense. So the humanitarians are primarily focused at filling in this bottom level of the pyramid here, right? Their goal, their primary goal, is to fill basic needs. The government is interested in kind of safety and security, so maintaining sort of status quo in the country, and then affected families, they're primarily interested in this top level, right, which represents dignity and respect, right? So as you go through the scoring, in a complete game, the idea would be that the more points in each space that corresponds to you, the better you're going to do, right? So there's sort of a differential here. And then one of the goals also that we wanted to show in this exercise was that it's actually much harder to kind of climb these levels of the pyramid. It's relatively simple to fill bottom levels of the pyramid, but quite complex and difficult to sort of get these higher levels. One thing that we probably should have mentioned, and I forgot to say at the beginning, was that this is based roughly on Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? Sarah's nodding. So this idea that you really have to fill, the basic needs, food, shelter, things like that, and that's what humanitarians do best. Then you can start looking at things like safety and security, which again, the government tends to be responsible for. And that higher level in humanitarian situations is all too often what gets forgotten, right? That's what the affected people want. What's most important to people in those contexts, or maybe not most important, but is equally important to people in those contexts. But also, affected people often have the least agency and capacity. So, and that's a structural thing. It's not that inherently they have the least capacity, but that the smallest amount of resources end up filtering down to people in that context. That's what we wanted the scoring to show. And then, another thing that we really wanted to bring out in the game, which maybe didn't come through in this test, is this idea that it's a theoretically cooperative environment, but actually a lot of competition can start to arise. And so, some of those things, we didn't quite get into in this one, but the sort of competing over resources, trying to get your hands on whatever dice somebody else maybe wants. We have powers that we didn't get into as much, that also are sort of semi-cooperative, in that they can be good for everybody, or they're often good for the team themselves, but will kind of cause a little bit of conflict between different players. At this point, we would normally run through a educational debrief, right? So we kind of talk through, the experiences of the game, what happened, how the exercise and reality are connected, and things like that. But I think for the purposes of time and to improve this exercise, I'd kind of like to just turn it around to the participants and maybe talk about your experiences from a gameplay perspective, and then you know, explore you know, what we can do for the next exercise to make it a little bit clearer, and things like that. So maybe we can just start by saying, you know, what about this experience did you like? Or hopefully some things. Yeah, what was exciting to you, or what did you like the most?
I just had a couple of things to make this slightly streamlined as well, Matt, just in terms of time as well. It'd be great to hear from people verbally, but you know, that's only one person at a time. So by all means, type stuff in the chat. And in fact, when you've got something in the chat, we've got it to keep. We'll save the chat. So if somebody's talking, but you want to say something about what's being discussed, just please do type into the chat.
Yeah, so for, yeah, like Terry says, both verbally and textually, what did you like about the exercise? What was interesting or exciting?
Well, I think I'd just like to say that I'm really impressed with how much content that you've managed to cram in with relatively few working parts, because I mean, I know we had some issues with the technology and so on, and that sort of makes it more complex getting to know what the rules are, but actually there's very few mechanisms, and yet you've managed to cram in an awful lot of content around the idea particularly of competing for resources, having secret goals, which is brilliant when you're looking at a situation like this, because that's always the case. And I love a game based on Maslow. I've created a few of those in the past.
That's great. That's really, it's interesting. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, maybe like agreeing with what Sarah said, like I like this from bottom to up, because it's really fitting with humanitarian approach, and I really like the multilateral approach also. Different stakeholders, you need to cooperate, but everyone has their own interests, so it's really fitting in the real context. And yeah, I was about to ask, like, what about debriefing? And you showed us there's a debriefing talking about that. So it's also kind of a nice checkpoint. And I would like to ask, what is your target audience? Like, who are you planning to play this game or distributing this game? Maybe a question.
That's a great question. We're looking at a broad audience, right? So we want to make it as accessible as possible to people who aren't as familiar with humanitarian response. But some of the things that we've put in here, we really do think are also useful for experienced humanitarian workers, right? As humanitarian workers, we very often focus on what we do and our stuff. And the goal of this game is to open up that perspective a little bit and say, okay, what does it actually feel like to sit in the government or an affected family's position and say, you know, what am I trying to do, and how are those humanitarians actually kind of getting in my way? So that's one of the things that we want to sort of bring through with the audience. I should also say, it might be interesting to say that we did sort of very purposefully make that first round quite prescriptive, right? So the idea is that the first round, you don't actually have that many choices to make. And the reason why is because a lot of the people we envision playing this game aren't gamers, right? So you know, it might have felt like a straitjacket to people who are used to playing games, but in this, we really wanted that first round to just be like, nope, you walk through the steps, and then after that, you kind of know what you're doing. But yeah. Anything else? Any other comments?
Sorry, could you just repeat that? You said that you were imagining people are gamers or are not gamers?
Are not gamers, yeah. So that first round should really have few choices, actually. So that you get comfortable with the material and the mechanics, and then you start getting the hard choices, which, yeah, I think maybe we have to tweak that a little bit, because it felt like that was almost confusing rather than clarifying. But
it's interesting. Brian just said in the chat, the prescriptive first round is good. Amplify that. I do think it felt to me, explaining it as if the explaining was much more difficult than I had anticipated that it would be. Which is a great takeaway to have from a playtest. So it'd be interesting to hear what people thought about that. But but one way to address that would be to take it more staged and say, okay, we're going to have very staged and specific rounds one at a time.
Yeah, I've got a big list of notes on all
Yeah,
of that.
I'll just comment on that, Terry. I'm not a gamer. Interestingly enough, my husband really is, and I do not play with him. Sorry to all of you who are. The experience of this, because I do work for a humanitarian organization, is that I think there's a lot of really interesting connections. And so my brain kept being like, between like, I want to think about this in real life, and how is this applicable? But what is going on in the game, and what does that card mean, and what am I supposed to be doing? So I was having a hard time kind of distinguishing between like getting into the game and understanding what where I need to put something or what goes where, versus how does this apply to a real life situation.
To me, I think the real strength of this is that it kind of illustrates, it's a little bit about what you were talking about earlier about seeing things from the other perspective, but I think it also speaks very well to the idea of operating within a larger system. So again, that business about people are normally thinking about what they're doing, their own thing, and trying to maximize the sort of impact of that. But the impact of that doesn't stand alone, it stands in the system. So you have to kind of work together, or at least work with the other sort of moving parts of the system. And I think it kind of does that very well with the drafting of the resources that those have to be shared out. You can't just go, that's all for me.
I think there's a point there on both of what Roberta said and Sarah said there, which I know Matt mentioned the debrief post, but perhaps just to return to it for a second. So the idea, and again, this is not defending, and we definitely don't want to defend anything, there's no need to defend anything, but just to explain how it should work, hopefully, if you get the whole experience, is that in the debrief, which would actually be, relatively involved, you played the game and you've perhaps been, exactly as Roberta said, thinking about the game, but then in the debrief, you're really shifting to, so what did this represent? This thing that happened in the game, what does that mean in real life? Does that happen in real life? Or does it not happen? Or does it, does it tell us something about what happens in real life? So, specifically focusing more at that point on the real life implications of all of this. But just, yeah.
Have any of you played the SDG 2030 game? The card game?
Yeah, I have.
Didn't you talk about that, Matt?
I'm not sure that I have played that one.
I have, and if we're talking about the same one, I didn't really like it. Like I found it too superficial, and it was just like it's barely a game.
Yeah, from a game perspective, it's not a wonderful game, but there are some parallels with what's happening here. Particularly, I think, and I think something that works really well here is that you've got individual actions of a team affecting the world as such. So you've got these pieces in the middle with the capacity pyramid and the coordination forum, which represent the game world, and individual actions impact on that. And I think it's a really, really nice mechanic, that, because again, it sort of illustrates your part in a greater system, I think.
Yeah. If I can take up from the previous comment, for me, the biggest challenge was that in the beginning there was too much information, and I guess the design could be a bit more improved so you can make more intuitive connections. But just before starting the very first round, it was too much. So I think this overload of information can be broken down into smaller steps that you need to take. Maybe you can make the game last I don't know, a couple more rounds, so you can have a very introductory kind of tutorial around in the beginning already as part of the onboarding, instead of having to explain many different rules before you get into playing. And then, yeah, regarding the debriefing, we didn't get to play like the complete game, so I can get a full picture of it, but I had a feeling that because of the overload of information and the slightly complicated mechanics, it could take away from drawing the right connections to the content rather than the mechanics themselves.
Sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Maybe because I didn't explain it well. So, because of the overload of rules and mechanics, I feel the attention would be drawn away from the content, so that would make your job in the debriefing a bit more difficult.
Yeah, that's interesting. We had kind of identified cognitive overload as an issue in earlier versions, which is why you see all these little pyramid-shaped cards covering stuff up. It's because we wanted to kind of go round by round, introduce more and more things. And yeah, I think your point is good, right? We still have some work to do there. I also think that, I mean, as we said at the beginning, this was our first playtest with real people as opposed to us, and I think we, you know, as always happens, we kind of assume that some things will be simple, and maybe we just have to, I don't know, script our sort of how to play turn. I like the idea of having a turn that's really even more prescriptive than it is, right? We just tell people what to do almost for that first round, and you know, it doesn't have to be like that for experienced players, but for people who are picking it up for the first time, maybe. So.
I have a question for the group, particularly for Antonis and Beben. You two were going for those purple negotiation tokens, and you didn't get enough to unlock that coordination forum. For me, that's the moment that you know kind of stands out for me as we're trying to achieve this goal, and we didn't succeed. I guess like maybe it's too difficult of a question, but do you have a feeling that would have impacted your next turn? Were you excited to try again? Were you disappointed that you couldn't make it? Did it feel, you know, or is it somewhere in between?
Well, it was based on unpredictability, which is always a cause of excitement, and we knew that the chances are 1 in 6, so they're quite high. So, no, it wasn't demotivating that we didn't work. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So
for me, like it was exciting because it created a chance of interaction with the other players. So I think this is I don't know if in the upcoming levels maybe it's coming, but I was really wondering where the interaction will come, because I find it very important in this kind of games, like we are talking about humanitarian action, like multilateralism and everything, and we need to negotiate, we need to interact, we need to conflict, that kind of thing. So that was exactly the point of finding a chance, a slight interaction by telling everyone like, hey, okay, like let's collect the purple one so we can unlock it, that kind of thing. So if the rest of the game is following that kind of mystery actions, or like chances of interaction, pushing the other people, manipulating and that kind of thing, so I think it creates excitement in that regard. But yeah, as you said, like we didn't follow all the games, so maybe it will be upcoming.
I won't spend any time explaining them now, so if they don't make sense in their own right, then, you know, tough luck. But that's some of the interaction that would have been coming up.
Yeah, we really wanted the sort of the coordination space to be where you can spend some of those extra die, right? You get these die faces, there's nothing I can do with it. You know, in the first turn, maybe you just lose that resource. But as the game progresses, right, you have more chances to say, okay, let's come together and spend these things together to achieve some goals as a group. But then the idea behind that is that then also you have to agree, right? So instead of just me saying, I'm just going to toss this point, you know, in whatever space I want, everybody has to then sort of get into a debate and choose together where things are going to go. And that, you know, again, because of those secret goals, so, you know, some conflict arises from that as well. Yeah, I guess I'm recognizing that we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to drop my email into the chat, and Terry, I'd encourage you to do the same as well. You know, please do keep in touch with us. Let us know any other thoughts you have that you haven't been able to share. We can keep this conversation going as long as Sarah will let us. But I just want to make sure that we have a way for you to get in touch with us as we go forward. Oh, I see Roberta's asking how long would a game typically take. I'm hoping that we can get it down to half an hour. I want it to be a
Wow.
fast experience that we can get through. That might not be feasible, but that's the dream, or at least my dream. I don't know if Terry and Ben are quite on the same page.
Before we tried it, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure now.
But the idea is that we should be able to get through it fast, right? I want it to be a quick learning experience for some sort of very specific things. So we'll see what happens.
I've just been thinking about the sort of explanation of the rules at the beginning, and although it seems a bit cockeyed, I think one of the things potentially to try would be to explain it back to front, by which I mean, if you explain about what you're going to spend the resources on, your tokens on, before you get to how you are creating those, that might be the right order for people to think about it. So they're thinking about the result first, what they want to achieve, and then you introduce the drafting of the dice. Because although you were explaining it in the order in which things happen, I think potentially that's not the optimum order to do the explanation in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, that's really good. Thanks, by the way, for all the stuff that's been coming in the chat. I'm just reading some of these, and we're not going to have time to respond to them all, but some really good ideas there.
Yeah, and I'm really hearing everybody saying, and I agree, you know, we had actually tried to make this kind of a general theme so that it could apply to a lot of humanitarian contexts. Yeah, it's coming through loud and clear that actually it will be very helpful if we make it a lot more specific and say, you're in a city, this is, you know, there's a refugee context. This is exactly what's going on, you know, set the scene, make it clear, and then say, okay, you know, we're trying to fill in Maslow's pyramid, and then, you know, we'll kind of work backwards through that. So yeah, I think that's coming in really loud and clear, that having a bit more, less abstraction and more clarity.
Yeah, but in actual fact, that narrative could be anything you like, couldn't it? That won't change the fundamental mechanics of the game. So you can have several of those scenarios, which you can just pick from to be suitable for whoever's in the room at the time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sure. Is there, recognizing that I don't know, Sarah, if you have to cut this off, like if this is the same link you'll use for the next session or anything like that, or if, you know, people
there is
can
no
drift
next
out.
session tonight. My next session is dinner. So
well,
no, I can leave it open indefinitely.
Yeah, if you're happy to leave it open, or you can, I think if you leave the meeting, you can assign ownership to us if you're comfortable with that.
It's already assigned. That's how you're able to share things.
Oh yeah, right. I see. Yeah. And if everybody needs to go, that's fine too. But I would really be curious if for anyone who does have a bit more time, you know, keeping going on this theme of what could be improved, right? What were some specific things that you thought, I don't understand what's going on, or I feel like something is missing here. Yeah, is there anything else that people felt, you know, could really be improved, or you know, was not enjoyable?
Okay, okay, somebody was speaking, so you can go ahead. I'll speak later.
Please, Lexman, go for it.
Okay, I was just trying to bring it out that addressing what Antonio said and the cognitive load, and as well as the gameplay. I like the gameplay because this is simple drafting and moving on and achieving tokens and moving to a common goal. What I felt was maybe a tweak in the iconographic and less of text would help a lot, and matching the iconographic would be useful. I'm bringing a very simple analogy in relation to viticulture. The game viticulture has this aspect: you need to color a certain amount of red wines and sparkling wines, and you could do something. I could map that to the capacity pyramid and the bow or dices, but still I found the dice icons and the pyramid icons somewhere were not intuitive. The color code were intuitive. Maybe that would help to get faster into the gameplay, and eventually as we go, the gamers can pick up what it is meant to do and why it is meant to do the way.
Sure.
And a second thing, because we are talking about humanitarian crisis and Maslow's pyramid, I felt a strong vacuum in the space of digital need and digital threat, specifically in the space when we are talking about privacy, and a lot of pandemic has brought in a lot of online work from home or study from home situations. Maybe that could also, if it is brought in, it will be equally important and good to look at.
Thank you, Lexman. Yeah, that's good stuff. By the way, just in case anybody does dip off, the other thing that would be really useful, given those email addresses, if anybody's interested in potentially playtesting this again once it has gone through an iteration of redesign and taken on board some of these comments, then please drop us an email and let us know, and we'll perhaps do some separate playtesting in the future as well.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that would be really nice.
I mean, if we can use extra time, we want to, great. I also don't want to keep people around for too long. Is there anything else useful that people want to contribute? Anything that hasn't been said? Any other questions we're burning to ask or not?
Maybe I can ask a small question, like, because it is really based on luck, is there an option in the next rounds of the game, like not based on luck, not based on what dice is coming or something? Because I find it a bit critical with the team, like this team is like not only based on luck, you know, so communication is a very huge part, like, you know, cooperating is a huge part. So that's why I'm a bit finding tricky to just focus all the game, humanitarian game, on luck, which is a bit kind of losing the meaning also in that regard. But maybe in that the next rounds, maybe there are some options that it will go to another way or something. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because potentially, if you go down the route of creating different scenarios under which the game can be run, the resources that are available, rather than being based on dice, could be specifically linked to that scenario.
Interesting.
So there could be less, if I can take this further, there could be less text on the existing cards that you have as reference, the small boards, and the content could be unfolding as part of individual, it would be cards instead of dice. So different types of economic or social or political situations, need conditions, I don't know what exactly you want to represent there, but represent them in cards that go that are revealed as you go. So you can have like a small deck of cards that is shuffled and you pick random cards and then you read the extra content instead of having to read it in the beginning on the conditions.
Card would tell you what resources were available that round or something like that. I mean, or...
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there's the possibility for there are finite resources in that world based on a scenario, but then you introduce the element of chance by actually saying, oh, okay, so how would I do this? So dice or something similar. So you actually pull the specific dice or specific cards into the game with you, and then you draw those to see which are available each round. So it doesn't get rid of the element of chance, but you've got a pool of specific things to pull from.
Yeah, that's what I suggested. If it wasn't clear, like instead of dice,
sorry,
a deck of cards.
Yeah. So it's a bit more like something like Magic the Gathering, where you've got you pick your deck before you start, but it's entirely chance what you pull out each time. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Antonis, I was probably thinking myself while you were talking and not entirely listening. I do apologize.
There is a mechanic that we didn't use in this game, but there is a mechanic. You asked about the different colors of the dice. So the different colors of dice actually are different chances. So some good dice have 2 of one face and some dice have 2 of a different face. And there are ways to manipulate that, but we didn't get to that.
Who
so
plays
it kind of goes along the same lines, but cards would take it further. Yeah.
Who plays castle dice here?
I have played dice games where they're different like that.
Yeah, I like that idea that the Babin's mentioned the Catan thing, and I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Where there's a little bit more probability, or that probability, I mean, we have tried to bake that in a little bit, but maybe making it a bit clearer. I think a lot of what we're talking about does come down to how we describe it, right? Because I don't know if I ever said this out loud, Terry, but I've always kind of been envisioning the dice roll as kind of a, you know, in real humanitarian context, right? You don't really know what proposals, what grants are going to be out there. And so, you know, you kind of get this dice roll and you go, oh, okay, what's available to me? What can I, what grants can I apply for that I can use to best respond to a situation, right? That doesn't make that much sense for the families necessarily, but for the humanitarian and the government, right? There's this real idea of, you don't really know what's going to be out there. So how do we use whatever shows up? But yeah, it's an interesting thing. The resource cards
Even
thing
explaining that would address the point that I think Brian raised earlier on in the chat about the dice seeming a little bit unconnected from reality.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I would like to be able to do with this too is to build a good print and play version, because a lot of the time when we're, using this in humanitarian context, people aren't going to be logging into Tabletopia, and they certainly aren't going to be shipping a glossy box around the world, right? So the idea that we would have something you could print off. Cards have always kind of been in the back of my head as like, well, an easier way to print and play the same sort of random draw mechanic, right? So that's an interesting point. Maybe we should just be thinking of that.
Matthew, when you said that it's the chance thing was based on, like in humanitarian field, you are always acting upon what do you have. Actually, when I hear that, it really makes sense right now, and it really think like, wow, okay, that's a good thing. But again, I think the missing point is the storytelling of the game, like really building a story. If you tell me like this, like if imagine you are saying that, okay, you are in the field right now and you only have this, like, let's see what we have, kind of selling this in a story, I think it makes so much more sense. And it's also engage more like player ambition, also challenge and everything, tackling these emotions coming, motivations also. So I think the storytelling will cover all of the things that we are a bit talking.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the big takeaway from this is we've got to write some story into this, try it again, see if all the same comments come up, and then we can start really diving into the mechanics. But I think the biggest problem it seems we have is that surface level, how do we link all the pieces together in the player's minds, right? Because we just have a bunch of dice and tokens right now.
I mean, to me, it's kind of quite clear, but I'm probably quite unusual in that I really like abstraction in games, and I know for a lot of people it's not so easy to make those links. So yeah. But narrative always helps. Narrative always helps, because it fills in the gaps for people, and it sort of like takes abstraction and makes it real.
And it's a bit funny because I think we've been approaching this from that perspective of most of our players will understand the humanitarian side, not the game side, or at least that's kind of what I've been coming to it with. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know. Yeah.
And I'm just to confirm what I'm hearing is that this having some narrative in there will actually help that cognitive overload, as opposed to creating more things for you to worry about. It would just make those connections for you, make all the things you have to understand easier to understand and easier to relate to.
Yeah. So for example, when you've got stress sort of increasing because you've got 3 of your best option, that you've ended up drafting 3 of your best option. I mean, to me, as soon as you said that about the sort of the local government thing, I was thinking, yeah, that the populace have realized that these guys have got their noses in the trough. That's where the pressure's coming from, because that's the first thing that came into my head. So all of that story helps to when somebody comes across a new mechanic or new rule, they can go, oh yeah, that's that.
Helps remember it as well.
Yeah, the term that we were sort of going for there, at least on the humanitarian side, is donor fatigue, right? Where you've got, we're really getting a lot of cash, and then people are going, oh, where's the results? This is quite annoying, actually. We're going to start restricting what we provide for you if you don't show some good results, which of course means the showing of results is actually writing a good report. It's not necessarily doing more or better work in the in the world. It's getting the media to pay attention to you, right? So this idea that now you're throwing resources in a different direction just to impress the people that give you the money is kind of an important piece of all of this, right? So
try and draw it to a close, and just again, where that there are probably people who are being nice and giving us lots of their time, but probably have other things to do as well. And there's a suggestion. Feel free to say otherwise.
Hey, this is a bit of an aside. Roberta just wrote me on the side, and she pointed out that for players who aren't the lead players, they don't have a link to be able to see the to move around the world and look at the rules themselves. Terry, could we provide that? Remember, we were having trouble at the beginning where you'd share a link and then it would create a new game room for everybody. Could we provide that for people?
Pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, but for the others, they could be spectators. You can also choose different roles for different.
Okay.
Links.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe
I mean,
just try following that link. Here, I'm going to pop this link in, and people should be able to see. I think this one should work. And everyone can just start their own game room and explore around. And that should persist after this session as well, at least until we start editing things.
Yeah.
And then it might break.
That whole thing was a little bit arbitrary in the sense that we didn't know how many people we were going to get, and we don't know for sure whether we're going to run it as a team thing or whether it's going to be a 3-player game. So it was a little bit how we're going to just organize these three teams for today. But yeah, we should have probably used the full capabilities of Tabletopia. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for, like I said, looking forward to the day that we get to play it with real dice in person.